Coming up on this edition of Sbu TV News, we talk to workers from Don Lorenzo's restaurant after it was shut down. And April is National Autism Month, and we take a look at this developmental disorder.
Welcome to Sbu TV News. I'm Claire Glatz.
And I'm Kaitlyn Sawyer. Last week, Don Lorenzo's, a popular Mexican restaurant in Allegany, and 6 other restaurants were shut down for hiring illegal immigrants. Jean Taylor talked to the families who worked there.
Many people in town are upset that their favorite restaurant was shut down last week. I spoke with those who were hit the hardest. The Silvas and Fieras came to Allegany 5 years ago.
And we did it for our kids, looking for opportunities.
They worked to pay off the costs to be taken to America.
It was hard, but all work is hard.
The people who brought them never explained that it was illegal to live and work here.
Didn't consult anybody, so they didn't really know. He said we adore this country because there's lots of opportunities. As you're given, so it can also be taken away.
They're waiting for a court date to find out if they can stay. Until then, the adults are required to wear tracking devices on their ankles.
But he said we can't complain about the people here. He said they've been very good. Yeah, the problem is that they've got this problem. They have to find a solution.
The bracelets need to be charged every day. They have to sit next to a socket plugged into a wall for 2 hours. Margaret Maison, a family friend, is organizing a benefit to help raise money for the families.
Because they've worked so hard to make a life for themselves, to be a part of the community, to raise their children. I know they took their kids to the center at St. Bonaventure, for extra tutoring. Very good parents, very conscientious, and I feel very sad for them that this new life that they've worked so hard to begin is gone. One day they were fine, they were making their way and fitting into the community, and then the next day it's gone.
At the benefit, the families will try to sell everything they own to help pay their way back to Mexico. Reporting for Sbu TV, I'm Jean Taylor.
The benefit will be held Sunday, May 4th at St. Bonaventure Parish in Allegany from 2 to 8 p.m. Raffles and auctions are planned, and Ermelando Fiera will be cooking surprise dishes for everyone.
State police were called to St. Bonaventure this morning after they received a tip a female on campus was threatened by an Allegany County man. Troopers, Cattaraugus County Sheriff's deputies, Allegany Town Police, and Bonaventure security officials were looking for the man, believed driving a green pickup truck. The university did not immediately issue a campus-wide alert, despite the presence of large numbers of police on campus. The security alert came 2 hours after the first report reached state police.
Maybe not a
million people have died in conflicts fueled by diamonds. These blood diamonds fund conflicts, civil wars, and human rights abuses. Should you be concerned about where the rock on your finger came from? I got the answer from a local jeweler who's been in the business for 31 years.
These rocks don't lose their shape. Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Maybe not a friend to any of you who've seen the movie Blood Diamond, a 2006 Edward Zwick film. The movie shows the horror surrounding the mining of blood diamonds, or conflict diamonds, in Sierra Leone in the 90s. At the time, this country in Western Africa was in the midst of civil war. These diamonds are illegally traded to fund fighting in war-torn areas, particularly in Central and Western Africa. However, Martin Maynard, owner of Ask Design Jewelers in Olean, said it's next to impossible for a conflict diamond to make it into your jewelry box.
At its biggest or highest point of impact on the industry, it still was less than 2% of the diamonds that were in fact involved in the diamond industry, and now it's less than 0.1%.
Maynard credits the Kimberley process, which started in 2002. The U.S. is one of 74 countries who are a part of it.
That's a series of checks and balances that tracks the origin of every diamond, seals it in a tamper-proof container, and tracks its progress.
It's under close watch from the time it's mined until it reaches the jeweler. According to Maynard, the diamond industry isn't only putting rings on fingers, it's putting money into the hands of the needy in Africa.
It's the largest income producer for the country, and were it not for the diamond industry, many of those people would have absolutely no sustenance whatsoever.
For reassurance about your rock, like the ones I'm wearing here, ask about your jeweler's policy on conflict diamonds. Maynard had the answers.
We require a certificate and a warranty from each of our suppliers and vendors and manufacturers that they in fact are complying with every regulation set forth in the Kimberley process.
Maynard said he would be willing to show these to any customer. For Sbu TV, I'm Claire Glatz.
Girl's best friend.
For more information about conflict diamonds in the Kimberley process, visit www.diamondfacts.org. Ask Design Jewelers is located on North Union Street in Olean.
Shrimp scampi and shrimp gumbo may whet your appetite, but is the most popular food in the seafood section being processed by slave labor? A new investigation by the Solidarity Center shows working conditions in the Southeast Asia shrimp industry are alarming. CNN's Sandra Endo is in Washington with the story.
It's the most popular and most valuable seafood imported into the United States, with each of us eating an average of 3 pounds of shrimp a year. But a new report reveals troubling information about how some of the food is processed.
This is forced labor. It can't be described in any other way except slavery.
The human rights organization Solidarity Center investigated the shrimping industry in Thailand and Bangladesh for 3 years. The group reports workers, including children as young as 8, face sexual abuse, low wages, and dangerous working conditions.
I am deeply disturbed by the findings of this report, including reports of beating, sexual assault, child labor, and 20-hour shifts. Simply put, it is outrageous. It is unacceptable to treat human people this way.
The U.S. imports $1.5 billion of shrimp a year from Thailand and Bangladesh, but the report made clear that not all imports come from problem plants. The report also credits Thailand and Bangladesh with trying to deal with the problem. Meanwhile, the shrimp industry's global trade group says it's not aware of issues detailed in the report, but it's willing to take a harder look at the matter. And lawmakers also want to put a stop to these alleged practices.
We should all be more conscious of how the food we consume and the products we use reach us in our homes and in our restaurants.
The State Department supports the report's findings, and Congress is working to shed more light on the issue. In Washington, I'm Sandra Endo.
Every 20 minutes, a child is diagnosed with autism. Currently, it's the fastest growing developmental disorder in the nation. I spoke with some who have a personal connection with kids with this disorder.
I am a child who has autism, who cannot do the things that you do, but that does not mean I am useless. I have feelings and emotions just like you.
5-year-old Ethan was diagnosed with autism 2 years ago.
Autism is kind of like the common cold. There's so many different varieties of autism.
Autism is one of 5 pervasive development disorders. All involve disability in social communication.
The great news is he did receive a ton of early intervention, but that was a huge change in our family life.
Ethan has 2 older siblings.
But they have a lot of patience with him.
Like, I have him sit down sometimes and take 2 deep breaths.
I teach him how to play like video games and stuff.
He's treated like any average kid.
Really just try to expose him to as many different social situations as possible.
1 in every 150 children have autism. Rather than putting them in special education, some of these kids are learning in a general classroom.
They really need to be in regular classes with non-disabled peers because those are their communication models.
As long as they're gaining. They're not gaining at the rate, as maybe somebody else's age would, but he's gaining.
You have a child who's struggling to learn to communicate, so you have to come up with a different way of teaching that.
Say no thank you.
No thank you.
I think the cure really lies in us, the non-disabled population, just being more accepting.
They're not always going to adapt into our world the way that we would, but they can learn skills.
I'm the Eggman. Ooh, they are the Eggman. I am the walrus.
For Sbu TV, I'm Kaitlyn Sawyer. For more information on autism spectrum disorder, visit www.autism-society.org.
The Center for Disease Control and Prevention has said this year's flu season was about the worst in 3 years, and the vaccination was not as effective as usual. Why didn't the shot work as well? And is it still worth getting vaccinated again next year? Kaitlyn Dean reports.
Having the flu can be a real pain, so many of us get our flu shot to prevent it. But something was different about the shot this year.
So the usual vaccines are about 70% effective. This one's only 40% effective.
Witt said the flu shot is redesigned every year because the flu changes. The Centers for Disease Control looks at the different strains of influenza late in the flu season, tries to decide which ones will be around next season, and comes up with a vaccine to treat those strains.
What happened this year is one of the types of flu that emerged very late last year was an Australian version of influenza A, and they did not include this in the vaccine that was formulated. There also was a strain of influenza B that turned out to be resistant.
One mother got the flu along with her 2 children, and they had all gotten their shots.
It was just horrible.
So does this change her mind about the flu shot?
As far as the kids are concerned, I don't know if it's worthwhile to get it the next year, especially for the amount of crying they both did. So.
Despite this, Dr. Witt still recommends getting a flu shot.
Well, I would say that flu shots remain very important in public health, and the most important and effective way we have of reducing influenza and preventing it, and that includes this year.
Even if you do get the flu, he said the vaccine can prevent it from being as severe. For Sbu TV, I'm Kaitlyn Dean.
Dr. Witt said you can prevent spreading the flu by washing your hands frequently and staying home when you're sick.
Coming up next on this edition of Sbu TV News, the truth about vitamin water, who's looking at Facebook profiles, and why students with accounts should watch what they post.
Let's sit down for a second, okay? So hey, Kayla, there's Mary from your class.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Kayla. Come and play.
Oh, sweetie. Why don't you go play with those kids over there?
Why?
Imagine the power of one voice. Find yours at freedomcenter.org.
Plastic ones last longer.
Pork bellies close steady due to speculation that demand for bacon-related products.
Read me this one, Daddy.
Okay, honey. The less art kids get, the more it shows. Are yours getting enough? Art. Ask for more. AmericansForTheArts.org.
We all know someone who does it. We even do it ourselves. In the UK, it's National Snoring Week. Health officials say snoring can cause a lot of more than bad night's sleep. It can even cause heart disease. And what about those that have to put up with the snorers? As CNN's Monita Rajpal reports, for them, a quiet night's sleep is just an elusive dream.
15 million people in the UK do it, and it's no laughing matter. Snoring is affecting the health of a nation. Snorers are 3 times more likely to suffer from adverse health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and high cholesterol than their non-snoring counterparts. Sleep apnea can even be life-threatening.
There's a whole spectrum from mild snoring to severe snoring to obstructive sleep apnea, which is a disease that we recognize and treat.
But what about the people who snores sleep with, the non-snorers?
My father snores, and I don't know how his second wife hasn't left him, because my mother left him. And if I was married to him, I'd f***ing leave him, because he snores like an elephant.
According to a survey, sleep deprivation is the biggest complaint. Snorers' bed partners often get just 3 to 5 hours of shut-eye every night.
I can't do the dribbling that is kind of like comes with it. He dribbles all over himself, but he's like that. It's like a choking on it in the back of his throat kind of thing as well.
And she's like...
That sound is also blamed for fatigue, poor decision-making, depression, anxiety, irritability, and disharmony in and out of bed. Studies show that sleeping partners of snorers are more likely to sleep apart than bed partners of non-snorers.
If she wants to sleep with me, that's totally up to her. There's always a spare room, isn't there, darling? Always a spare room.
He doesn't care.
While most partners feel sympathy for their partner's plight, for others there is no respite. Reportedly, some 15% of snorers do not care whether they disturb their partner's slumber, like this girl.
No, you snore, I don't snore.
I apparently snore.
He remains unable to persuade this guy that silence is golden.
Earlier this month, Sbu TV reported the plastic used to make many household items could be dangerous to your health. Now some of the nation's largest retailers are pulling popular products off their store shelves. Chelsea Eggleston reports.
Walmart announced last week they will stop selling some brands of food containers, plastic water bottles, sippy cups, and baby bottles by early 2009. The products are made with bisphenol A, or BPA. Studies on rats have linked the chemical to health problems.
The most potentially harmful effect is that it could be a potential risk for increased cancer risk.
Although the FDA has said small amount of BPA isn't dangerous to humans, stores like Toys R Us aren't taking any chances. They plan to remove BPA products from the shelves by the end of this year. Rochester-based company Nalgene specializes in making shatterproof plastic water bottles. A company spokesman said they still believe products containing BPA are safe for their intended use, but they will put out a line of BPA-free alternatives. So will all these popular products disappear from store shelves?
We learn more about it, what kinds of effects it can have, how it interacts in the environment. We will be able to make better choices about what a reasonable use might be. So I can see that it could be phased out or not.
For Sbu TV, I'm Chelsea Eggleston.
To avoid consuming any BPA, it's recommended to use glass baby bottles and stainless steel or aluminum reusable water bottles. Now we take a look at what might be inside those bottles.
Vitamin water is making a name for itself on grocery store shelves, but it might not be as healthy as you think. Vanessa Diaz takes a look.
125 calories?
It'll take 492 sit-ups to burn those off.
So I'd have to do 492 more?
You may have seen this commercial for Propel Fitness Water informing adults how bad vitamin water is for your body. At least one nutritionist agrees.
The vitamin waters are really just water with a vitamin pill thrown in.
However, it's not the adults that most vitamin waters are the targets of marketing efforts.
Aggressively marketed to children. It has those cute little bottles, it has bright colors, and it has a huge load of sugar and salt.
What are some of the risks when children drink sports drinks such as vitamin water on an everyday basis?
So the obesity is a huge issue. There is a lot of undiagnosed diabetes in all age groups, especially in children.
What about when it comes to kids who are physically active?
A kid running around all the time is actually normal behavior. It's not an athlete in training. And they're two different things.
We found that one bottle of vitamin water contained 125 calories and 33 grams of sugar. That's more calories and sugar than a 12-ounce serving of Coke. According to a government survey, most Americans already take more than the recommended amount of vitamins.
People have the idea that more is better, and more is not always better.
It is recommended that instead of drinking drinks like vitamin water to quench your thirst, drink water after any physical activity. For Sbu TV, I'm Vanessa Diaz.
It's recommended children who need vitamins take them in pill form and maintain a healthy diet. The rising costs of food are eating into household budgets from coast to coast. More families are taking matters into their own hands by putting their hands to work. CNN's Ed Lavandera reports from the Dallas Farmers Market.
In a given day, everybody will come in and pick anywhere from 1 to 2 gallons.
Everything Lynn Remsing grows gets gobbled up.
We have seen a tremendous increase in the number of people that are picking their own fruits now.
Thousands of people are flocking to Remsing's farm in this Fort Worth, Texas suburb to pick their own fruits and vegetables. On this 6-acre plot, sales have doubled in the last year.
This year has been an extremely good year for us because the number of people that I think have found fresh vegetables because they're looking for a cheaper source of food out there in the marketplace.
That's $4 for the onions.
Remsing says the organic fruits and vegetables he grows are consistently cheaper than the non-organic food sold in nearby supermarkets. That's because he doesn't have transport and packaging costs. Here you pick strawberries right off the bush. Do you think this is the wave of the future?
I think it is. I think we're going to see this come. If you've ever been to seen the European markets, they do a lot of greenhouses. They do a lot of local small farms.
Local farmers are reporting a boom in sales all over the country. In the last 10 years, the number of farmers markets has nearly doubled nationwide. And for the first time, the Farm Bill before Congress will allocate nearly $2 billion to help specialty crop growers expand where they sell their food.
Expanding the availability of produce, creating commodities that, those are the types of things that I think could help bring prices down. But it's a global problem, as you're aware.
Gasoline prices surged again this week. Pump prices have soared across the country and threaten the $4 mark in western New York. Caroline Bayard reports.
Keeping the gas light off is becoming more and more difficult for drivers everywhere.
Lately, I've just been putting 20 or 30. I can't afford to fill it up all the time.
It costs me about $70 to fill up. It does make it a lot harder. I do find that I'm driving on empty a lot more than I used to.
How have you been able to save some money?
I haven't been. The gas price is outrageous.
With the prices of gasoline increasing throughout the year, I'm going to give you some money-saving tips for the pump. Steer clear of gas stations in the richest areas of town and near major highways, which tend to charge more. If you're going on a road trip, fill up at your local station first, and keep in mind that stations near state borders tend to price their gas aggressively. Service stations with car washes or auto repair shops tend to overcharge for fuel since they rely on other services to bring in their gasoline business. Gas stations affiliated with wholesale clubs often sell cheaper gas as a way to get people inside, but you usually need to pay for a membership to fill up. What time you get to the pump and how you drive can also save you money. According to GasPriceWatch.com, Wednesday morning is the best time to buy, since you get more for your dollar in colder temperatures and prices usually move up for the weekend. Changing from an aggressive driving style to a more relaxed one can improve fuel efficiency by as much as 35%. And if you're debating whether or not to turn on the air conditioning, save it for the highway when it's most efficient, and keep the windows down while driving locally. Some other easy things you can do are...
I try riding a bike to class and stuff. If we go somewhere with friends, we either walk or we carpool and stuff to make it better on gas, but it definitely has had an impact.
For Sbu Tv, I'm Caroline Bayard.
Filling up is easy self-service nearly everywhere, and paying the hefty bill is a little harder.
Last summer, the internet social network Facebook loosened its registration. Facebook now allows registration with any email address. Amanda Fuller explains why what information posted on Facebook can be a bad career move.
Your resume is impeccable. Your cover letter is perfectly crafted, and you dressed nice and nailed that interview. But there is still something you may have neglected to review, and it could keep you from getting a job or internship.
I don't usually use MySpace, and there's really nothing on it, so, but I do use Facebook.
I have both. Facebook.
Both.
A study by Adecco showed that 66% of young adults were not aware that the information they put online can be factored into hiring decisions. 56% said they think the practice is unfair.
Unethical if you solely base your decision off of that. I mean, everyone does stupid stuff every once in a while.
35% of hiring managers use Google to do online background checks on job candidates, and nearly 1/3 of those web searches lead to job rejections, states a survey by Pullman Institute.
There's probably a few things on there that I wouldn't want them to see.
I wouldn't mind, but there would definitely be some cleaning up I would have to do. Probably like pictures and maybe even some stuff on the profile.
It shows everything that goes on the weekends, all the pictures and stuff.
CareerBuilder.com advises to not post anything on a publicly accessible website that you wouldn't want a potential employer to see, and recommends to Google yourself.
When I Google my name, what's one of the first links to pop up? My Facebook account.
Yeah, as soon as I got a job subbing, I definitely went right to the privacy setting and set it to private so that only my friends would be able to view it.
I have nothing to hide. They can ask me. You know, if they feel like they have to go behind my back, then that's just proof that they don't actually know me.
For Sbu TV, I'm Amanda Fuller.
Facebook.com has expanded its social networks to include company profiles, geographic locations, celebrities, and politicians. Coming up next in sports, the Bonaventure baseball team tries to make a comeback against Bucknell, and the softball team takes on Robert Moris.
Are your kids getting enough art? Where's the music? I don't hear any. Arts programs are being cut, making it hard for my kids and yours. Arts education is important, so it goes. Fight for it, because the less arts kids get, the more it shows. Rapping, painting, or creating music, arts education is key. How's that, Mom?
Remember what I told you, Chuck. Less bebop and more hip-hop.
Art. Ask for more. AmericansForTheArts.org.
Welcome back to Sbu TV. Vanessa Diaz joins us with sports.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. The St. Bonaventure's baseball team played Bucknell at Fred Handler's Park this week. Head coach Larry Sudbrook is 4 wins away from 500 career victories.
After letting up 5 runs in the first, the Bonnies could only put 1 run of their own and 3 hits on the board until the 9th inning. Down 9-1 with a little help from Bucknell's relievers, the Bonnies started a rally. Mulcahy advanced to second after a failed pickoff attempt. Bucknell's reliever then loaded the bases and walked in a run. The Bonnies' #1 hitter, Randy Moley, then doubled down the right field line, bringing in 2 runs. After Bucknell's reliever walked in 2 more runs, the Bonnies were down 3 with the bases loaded. With 1 out, Mulcahy struck out looking. The pressure was on freshman pinch hitter Cale Johnson. He stretched the count to 2-2, but this fastball got past him for strike 3, leading to a 9-6 Bonnies defeat.
The Bonnies will try to get closer to Larry Sudbrook's 500th win when they head to Ohio to take on the Xavier Musketeers this weekend. The St. Bonaventure softball team hosted Robert Moris in a doubleheader on April 23rd. Here's a look at the highlights.
After the Bonnies were no hit in Game 1, they tried to rebound in Game 2. Freshman Sarah Signore got the start for the Bonnies. St. Bonaventure struck first in the 3rd inning thanks to a 2-out rally. Senior Andrea Swanger drove in a run with a single to put the Bonnies on top. Then senior Brianna Bricker followed with the RBI double to score Swanger and give the Bonnies a 2-0 lead. The Colonials got on the board in the 5th inning, but sophomore Sherry Thompson came out of the bullpen to prevent any further damage. In the 6th inning, the Bonnies tacked on an important insurance run as senior Kirsten Strong doubled home Swanger to make the score 3-1 Bonnies. In the 7th, Thompson pitched out of the jam by inducing a fly ball to the left. A run would score, but the Bonnies were able to tag out the other base runner for the double play to give St. Bonaventure a 3-2 victory and a double-hitter split.
Next up, the Bonnies will visit Dayton and Canisius. That's all for sports.
And that's it for this week's edition of Sbu TV News. I'm Kaitlyn Sawyer.
And I'm Claire Glatz. For Vanessa Diaz and all of us here at Sbu TV, have a great week.
hope you have a great summer, Dean Capola. We're going to miss you so very much.
Bye.